With profound, humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy, blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 3 of 4.
Etc.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
For all that is good is immediately present to the sage, and the sage is present to himself. His pleasure, his contentment, stands immovable. Please continue watching to hear readings of the wisdom of the philosopher, Plotinus, vegetarian.
Eating for me is how you proclaim your beliefs 3 times a day. That is why all religions have rules about eating. 3 times a day I remind myself that I value life and do not want to cause pain to or kill other living beings. That is why I eat the way I do. Natalie Portman, vegan.
Horios dikonos means pleased to meet you in Aromanian. It is wonderful that so many kind and honest people like yourselves inhabit our world and make it a brighter place to live. I am Panayotis. The noble Aromanians support your efforts in studying the ancient scriptures, which teach virtue and harmonious living. May everyone soon turn towards the compassionate vegan diet, which has been favored by the saints since time immemorial. Welcome to Excerpts from the Six Enneads by Plotinus, Vegetarian, How to Be Happy, Part 1 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Plotinus was one of the most influential philosophers in antiquity after Plato and Aristotle. In his philosophy, there are 3 principles: the one, the intellect, and the soul. Historians of the 19th century invented the term Neoplatonism and applied it to Plotinus' philosophy. His metaphysical writings have inspired centuries of Islamic, Jewish, Christian, and Gnostic metaphysicians. The issue of happiness is one of Plotinus' greatest imprints on Western thought, as he was one of the first to introduce the idea that happiness is attainable only within consciousness. From all accounts, his personal and social life exhibited the highest moral and spiritual standards. He disliked talking about his own life, disapproved of meat, and refused medications containing animal substances. Plotinus' final words were, "Try to raise the divine in yourselves to the divine in the all." Long before his physical departure from this world, the philosopher entrusted 2 of his closest disciples, Porphyry and Amelius, with the extensive task of collecting, revising, and compiling his writings. Thus, the Six Enneads was published to share Plotinus' precious insights with countless generations. It consists of 54 treatises varied in length, arranged in 6 sets of 9 Ennead in 3 volumes. The Enneads are sorted by levels of sophistication, starting with the first Ennead, which emphasizes ethical topics. Today, we would like to present excerpts from the 4th tractate of the first Ennead, which expounds on how we can attain happiness in all life situations. The first Ennead, 4th tractate, on true happiness, section 8. As for violent personal sufferings, he will carry them off as well as he can. If they overpass his endurance, they will carry him off. And so, in all his pain, he asks no pity. There is always the radiance in the inner soul of the man, untroubled like the light in a lantern when fierce gusts beat about it in a wild turmoil of wind and tempest. But what if he be put beyond himself? What if pain grows so intense and so torture him that the agony all but kills? Well, when he is put to torture, he will plan what is to be done. He retains his freedom of action. Besides, we must remember that the sage sees things very differently from the average person. Neither ordinary experiences nor pains and sorrows, whether touching himself or others, pierce to the inner heart. To allow them any such passage would be a weakness in our soul. And it is a sign of weakness too, if we should think it gain not to hear of miseries, gain to die before they come. This is not concerned for others' welfare, but for our own peace of mind. Here we see our imperfection. We must not indulge it, we must put it from us and cease to tremble over what perhaps may be. Anyone that says that it is in human nature to grieve over misfortune to our household must learn that this is not so with all, and that precisely it is virtues used to raise the general level of nature towards the better and finer, above the mass of man, and the finer is to set at naught what terrifies the common mind. We cannot be indolent. This is an arena for the powerful combatant holding his ground against the blows of fortune, and knowing that, sore though they be to some natures, they are little to his, nothing dreadful, nursery terrors. It is precisely to meet the undesired when it appears that he has the virtue which gives him to confront it his strong and unshakable soul. Section 12. The pleasure demanded for the life cannot be in the enjoyments of the licentious or in any gratifications of the body. There is no place for these, and they stifle happiness. It can be only such pleasure as there must be where good is. Pleasure that does not rise from movement and is not a thing of process. For all that is good is immediately present to the sage, and the sage is present to himself. His pleasure, his contentment, stands immovable. Thus he is ever cheerful, the order of his life ever untroubled, his state is fixedly happy, and nothing whatever of all that is known as evil can set it awry, given only that he is and remains a sage. If anyone seeks for some other kind of pleasure in the life of the sage, it is not the life of the sage he is looking for. Section 13. The characteristic activities are not hindered by outer events, but merely adapt themselves, remaining always fine and perhaps all the finer for dealing with the actual. When he has to handle particular cases and things, he may not be able to put his vision into act without searching and thinking, but the one greatest principle is ever present to him, like a part of his being, most of all present. The self-gathered, which as long as it holds itself by main force within itself, can never be robbed of the vision of the all-good. Section 14. For a man, and especially the sage, is not the couplement of soul and body. The proof is that man can be disengaged from the body and disdain its nominal goods. It would be absurd to think that happiness begins and ends with the living body. Happiness is the possession of the good of life. It is centered therefore in soul, is an act of the soul, and not of all the soul at that, for it certainly is not characteristic of the vegetative soul, the soul of growth, that would at once connect it with the body. A powerful frame, a healthy constitution, even a happy balance of temperament, these surely do not make felicity, and the excess of these advantages there is even the danger that the man be crushed down and forced more and more within their power. There must be a sort of counter-pressure in the other direction towards the noblest. The body must be lessened, reduced, that the veritable man may show forth the man behind the appearances.
Warmongers exhibit their incompetence.
Courteous viewers, thank you for your company today for Words of Wisdom. Please join us tomorrow for part 2 of this program. Coming up next is Sustainable Innovations to Help Preserve Our World, part 1 of a multi-part series. Green Alternative Medical Supplies, right after noteworthy news. May the Divine bless you and your loved ones with happiness and tranquility always.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter supremastertv.com/schedule et supremastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten supremastertv.com/schedule y supremastertv.com/WOW.
برنامه‌های ما شامل زبان‌های بسیاری است. از این وبسایت‌ها دیدن فرمایید: supremastertv.com/schedule و supremastertv.com/WOW.